Hello everybody and welcome to a brand new Elder Scrolls Online guide video with me, Sherman. Today, guys, we are going to be talking about what is a meta. Now, I'm going to do an interpretation for you of the meaning meta. And the meaning of meta is what it means. So here's what meta means. Most effective tactic available. Now, what if I told you this build right here, this is a Templar light armor tank using dual Restos House. What if I told you this was a meta build? Would you believe me? A lot of people wouldn't. In fact, a lot of people are probably laughing their butts off right now because they don't see the meta of ESO. They see the meta of World of Warcraft or every other game out there. They don't see ESO's design. See, Elder Scrolls Online was a game that was designed to do away with this idea of meta. Okay? It was designed for people to play how they want. Now, when I say this build is meta, I'm not kidding. It is the most effective I can make it with the tools I have available. Okay? So what does that mean? Well, let's take a look at the tools I have available. First, I have 64 attribute points I can put anywhere into this character. I applied them all to Magicka. The reason I did that was because I felt my health pool was more than substantial enough for the content I might be playing. Okay? And I'm really good with playing this build. I am. The next thing you have to look at is my actual attribute pools, my resources. I have a 28k Magicka, 37k health, 17k stamina. Is that going to be enough for me to be self-sufficient in managing my own resources well enough? Probably not. And here's why. I have a very large Magicka pool, and if I wipe out my Magicka pool, it's going to take me a long time to fill that thing back up. So I have to use other tools that allow me to do this. So I gave myself a higher magic recovery. The highest I can possibly give myself, even, without sacrificing too much in my role as a tank. So how did I do that? Well, one, I used gear, my equipment, and that's what this says, equipped stuff. This is my equipment, my monster set, my gear sets, my 2 gear sets I'm running, the 2 stabs, the enchants, the traits, the Mundus Stone, my 64 attribute points. All that stuff plays into my build. All of the skills I have unlocked. Now you're going to see that I still have 185 skill points available, which means I can still unlock a lot more tools to have them available for me and my group. Now, what makes this the most effective it can be? I'm going to show you. Let's break it down. First, we're going to start with this. Everything in this game has preset value. Your attribute points and how much they give you have a preset value. If I go in here and I do this, and I do this. Now, you'll see I got rid of my 64 attribute points. I did this for a reason, because I'm going to show you the preset values. For 1 point, I get 111 CP, or not CP, Magicka points. If I add another point to it, it goes to 222, then 333, 444. And it goes up each time by 111, by 111 points every time. So if I take and I put all 64 in here, it goes up to 7,104. I cannot get any more out of that. That means because I can't get higher than 64 attribute points. And so that means I can't get higher than 7,104 points out of those attribute points. Period. You can't. It's impossible. Now, the other thing I'm going to tell you before I continue on is, what if I told you there was a formula in this game that allowed you to play every role possible with any tools in it? That means a tank with light armor, resto staffs, like this. You would probably think I was crazy, because that's not a meta. So, we're going to go ahead and accept that. We're changed. We're going to leave it alone. We're going to go back to that screen. Now you can see I have a 28k magicka, 33k health, 17k stamina, 1209 magic recovery, 333 health recovery, 514 stam recovery. My spell damage and weapon damage are lower because I'm a tank. My job isn't to do damage, it's to be a tank. I have a decent spell critical. I don't have a massive one because I'm a tank. I'm not meant to do, like, critical damage, but it is good to have a critical capability. Then I have these two things. And this is how I built this build. I built this build specifically this way, okay? To work this way. I am utilizing a Mundus Stone at its most efficient way I can. By wearing all Divine's gear and using this Mundus Stone, I get the maximum amount of resistances out of it. This allows me to have higher resistances. As you can see, I have an 18k spell, 19k physical. The reason I went for higher physical instead of spell is I'm already a magicka person, and I'm going to be at ranged from most magicka types, so I can actually use other abilities to absorb that damage. It's the physical damage where I'm going to take the most from. So I want that to be a little bit higher. I do have Ebon Armory, which is one of the sets I'm wearing. And I do have Tri-Stat Food. This gives me the multi-stat food. That is a purple food. In fact, there is no other food higher than purple food other than gold food, but there is no gold quality health magicka stamina food in the game. At all. None. Not even a recipe for it. I have only access to this. This is the most effective food I can use. So I use that, and that's how I get my resource pools to where I want it. Utilizing tools in the game to do that. Okay? Now, going on from there, if you look at this build, you're going to see I have a certain monster set equipped. That monster set is at level 50, CP 160. Can I get that set in a higher level in CP? No. Why not? It doesn't come any better than that. Well, if it can't come any better than that, how do I make it better? Well, see, armor and enchantments and equipment has different levels or tiers of quality. And this particular thing goes from white to green to blue to purple to gold. Gold is the highest quality. See the name? Lord Warden's Dust Guys? It's in gold. This is at its highest quality. I can't make it any better. So that is the most effective I can make this set. I can't make it any better. Well, what about the enchants? The enchants are the same thing. That's the most effective they can be. What about the traits? Same thing. And all this stuff is connected. Now, I could put purple enchants in here, which would make me less effective, but I want to be the most effective. So I put gold enchants. Now, because of that, all my stuff is gold, with gold enchants. That is the most effective I can use. And you can see the sets I'm using. I'm using Bahara's Curse, Ebon, and Lord Warden. I built this build a specific way, with a specific value, okay? Can I make this better? Can I give it better stats? Can I keep what I'm using but make things better? No, I can't. Because there is no mathematical way to make it better. I have the highest passives. My passives are all maxed out. You can even go look. All my passives are maxed out on all my class passives, on the weapon passives of the weapon type I'm using, all maxed out. Armor passives, light armor, all of them are filled in. Medium armor, the top two and the bottom one. Heavy armor, all of them, or the top three. World skills. Don't really, I'm not going to use a lot of these for this build because I'm not playing that kind of character, like a thievy character or somebody who utilizes soul magic. I do take advantage of these two passives, so I want to have access to them. Dark Brotherhood, none. Fighters Guild, only two passives. Intimidating Presence and Banish the Wicked. Mages Guild, all of them, because I do want to use Mages Guild abilities. Because at some point or another, they might be more beneficial to me. Like maybe when I'm solo playing, using Mage Light and morphed into Inner Light, I could do this, so this way my crit chance is higher. So this way when I'm playing by myself and not in a group, I have the tools available to me to make it the most effective. Now I know a lot of people don't understand what I mean by that, or don't understand what it means to play a meta. A lot of people misinterpret or misuse the word meta. And we won't go into that, but a lot of people do. And what a lot of people don't understand is, when you make something meta, you're making it the most effective you can. And you're utilizing the tactics available you have. The most effective tactics available. So when somebody asks me, what meta do you play? Or do you play the meta? Yes, I always play the meta. I always make my builds to be the most powerful they can be. And I make them to where they have access to certain skills on their toolbars for a basic idea of what skills to use to keep them going. And then I can show you other skills that you might want to replace other ones with in different situations, like I just showed you. Because you have to understand, everything in this game requires a certain type of tactic to be faced. And there's always going to be a better tactic to fight something. Example number 1, Dire Frost Keep. How many of you played through Dire Frost Keep, got to the final boss at the end, the witch, at the end? And she does this thing where she shoots you with this blue beam, which immobilizes you. It stuns you. And it doesn't have stuns for 3 seconds. It has an immobilized stun for the duration of the ability. The only way you can get out of that ability is by breaking free. Now this is what most people will do. They will break free to stop her from taking their life away, killing them, and putting them... But what a lot of people don't know is that when she does that, she gets 3 times the amount of health sometimes from what she takes from you. Even if she only holds you for a millisecond, she takes a chunk of health from you. This is why that fight takes so long, is because every time she tethers somebody, she's healing from it. This allows her to recuperate the damage you've done to her, so you have to do it again. So her 2.8 million health on veteran mode or whatever is 2.8 million health, and then she loses some, she gets it all back. She loses some, she gets it all back. This is why that fight seems so hard. Now, what if I told you there was a tactic in this game that makes that fight easier and more efficient and more effective to use? Would you believe me? Now, I'm going to show you it on one skill, but I'm going to tell you that there is more tools in the game that have this effect. This is a skill I use most of the time for it. Now, I use this on a healer, I use this on a tank, I use this on a DPS. How are you using this on a DPS? A sword and shield is a tank's weapon. No, a sword and shield is an offense, or it's offensive and defensive weapon. That means its design is made to do what a sword and shield would do. Let's see. Let's look down here. Fortress. Reduces stamina cost of one-handed sword and shield abilities and reduces cost of blocking. Okay, well, a sword and shield is a blocking tool. That's what it's designed to do, is block attacks. Sword and board. Increases weapon damage by 3%, 5% at max, and the amount you can block by an extra 20% at max. So 10% base, 20% max. So let's go ahead and max this out, just so you guys can see. I get a 5% weapon damage increase. Does this sound like something a tank would use? Oh, no, that's for PvP purposes. No, it's not. It's the design of the weapon. It's just the design of it. You got to remember, every tool in this game has a specific design. Look at ice staves. Ice staves share a very similar design to this. Do you know why? Because they wanted to give people a tool that they could tank with in light armor or a tool they can tank with, and a destruction staff, I should say, so they have another tool to tank with. Another playstyle that they can use, besides sword and board. But these aren't the only tools that can be used by a tank, because there is one other tool that you can get that will allow you to use any tool as a tank, and that's this. You see how this says roll, sword and shield? That means a tank roll. Sword and shield represents the tank roll, right here. When you see this symbol, it means a healer. That means that skill is defined for a healer. When you see this skill, it means it is defined by a damage dealer. Let's see how many times we can find the tank roll on skills within my class and within the skill lines. Have you seen any yet? Besides the one? Let's go through armor skills. Nope. 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 Let's do weapons. Two-handed. Damage. Nope. 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 One skill. Damage. Oh, there's a tank one. But guess what? It's because of the effect on it that other tool does. It's called a taunt, which draws the attention of the enemy on you for 15 seconds. That means they will only hit you for those 15 seconds. Remember what a tank's job is? I did this in my last video. A tank's job is to absorb damage from enemies and prevent allies from being attacked. How do you prevent allies from being attacked? You use a taunt. And you use that to get an enemy off of an ally and on you. See, there's nothing there that says a tank has to use specifics. It says these are the tools a tank should use. Something to keep their enemies off their allies, and things to absorb damage. Well, there's a lot of things you can use to absorb damage. There's shields, there's blocking, there's dodge rolling, there's a lot. Resistances, damage reduction. There's a lot of tools you can use to mitigate damage. Healing mitigates damage. Shields absorb damage. How many different ways is there to get a shield in this game? Well, let's see. There's an enchantment. There's the light armor skill. There is the class skill from Dragon Knight and the class skill from Templar that have shields. There's Bone Shield. And all these tools are available to you. Are they the most effective options for the build that you made? Yes, because you're utilizing that skill to give you that advantage. Well, this doesn't mean anything, Sherman, because mathematically, well, let's get into the math, shall we? Everything in this game has a preset value. I just showed you. All your attribute points that you put into your character have a preset value. All your enchantments, no matter what quality they are, and no matter what level they are, as long as you're above CP 160, and they are CP 160 enchantments, they are at their maximum quality and most effectiveness. They can't get any better. Mathematically speaking, this is the most effective I can make this build. Because I can't make it any better unless I change it. And if I change it, it's no longer that meta I'm playing. It's a different meta. Every time you change it, you're changing the tactics that you're using. See, if I change its health pool, I'm changing its meta. Because I'm changing its effectiveness. If I change out skills, I'm changing its effectiveness. I'm changing it to a new meta to face a new opponent. Am I going to use Reverberating Bash or Major Defile on every boss encounter in the game? No. But I will use it on the bosses that I know have superior healing capabilities. Why? It'll be easier to kill them. And it makes it more effective to kill them. Why are you going to use these passives, these skills, all these different tools the game gives you if you're not going to take advantage of them? See, that's what ESO's design is. See, this is where people misinterpret the design of ESO, and they don't understand play how you want. When the developers told you you can play how you want, they weren't lying. See, There's nothing that restricts a race from playing any class. There's nothing that restricts any race and class combination from playing any role. There is nothing, no restriction in how you play your role, on what skills you use, as long as you utilize the tools given to you to be that role. So there's no restrictions on what armor you can wear, what weapon types you use, nothing. The only restrictions that are there are what you create, or what is already there. Now, is there another set like Ebon Armor in the game? Let's see. Ebon Armor. Ebon Armor gives 2-piece item, 1,206 health, 3-piece item, 1,206 health. And you guys see those values? The 1,206 health? That doesn't get any better. Like, that's it. That's the highest it can get. So that is the most effective it gets. 4% healing taken, and the 5-piece. Increases your max health by 1,118 for you and up to 11 group members within 28 meters. Do you see anywhere on this set it says this is for a tank? Is there anywhere in the heavy armor trait skill line that says heavy armor is only used for tanks? No. In fact, if you read what heavy armor says it does, this passive increases your physical and spell resistance to give you more survivability. Constitution increases your health recovery and gives you resources back when you get hit, when you take damage. This is just part of the set, the armor type's design. And nowhere in here does it say heavy armor is designed to be a tank's tool. Nowhere in here does it say medium armor is designed for a damage dealer's tool. Now, they might have some things attached to them that improve your capabilities of playing certain roles to some degree, like this giving you greater survivability. But if I'm going to play a DPS character that I make to be really survivable, but also just brutally violent, I can do that because the game gives me the tools to allow me to create that character. Not only does it allow me to create that character, it allows me to create that build to its most effective tactic available. Because it doesn't just give me the tools necessary to do that, it gives me the tools necessary plus all the abilities to do it. And all those abilities are right here. It gives me everything I need right here. But it's all restricted. See, because it limits you on how well something will and will not be. This creates the most effective tactic that you can do, because it can't be any better. That means it's at its most effective level. So when people say stamina DPS in heavy armor is a bad idea, well, maybe it's a bad idea for you because you're an experienced, well-knowledge player with the build you play in. But not everybody is. This new guy coming into the game that doesn't understand how to play a DPS character, but wants to play one, but he keeps dying because he keeps trying to make a meta build that somebody else is sharing. See, when you say a meta build, that's what they mean. You're sharing an idea of a build to play within a group dynamic. But everything has its own meta. Because every build is already preset to give you the greatest advantage. And that's why you can use any gear set in any combination you want, and any armor type in any combination you want, anything in any combination you want, and still make a viable build, because the game is designed for that. When people say, well, you can't make a hybrid, it's impossible. This game has hybrid capabilities. Have you ever noticed that certain stats can only go to certain values? And that's because they can only give you so much power? When you make a hybrid, you're utilizing both magic and stamina. Magic abilities work better off of a max magicka and spell damage, just like anyone else, but you get higher spell penetration when you use light armor, right? Do you get higher spell damage? No, you don't. What about medium armor? Do you get higher penetration or higher weapon damage? You get higher weapon damage. You don't get higher penetration. Why is that? And that's because there's certain weapons within their tool sets that do different things. See, you can get higher stuff with a staff, and you can get higher stuff with melee weapons. You can get higher penetrations, you can get higher damage, you can do all this stuff by just changing the trait of the item. And by doing so, you make it more effective for the type of playstyle you play. So the more effective you make your build, you're playing it at the most effective it can be. And the tactics you use are going to change no matter what. Because every encounter you face in this game, from one boss to another, is going to change. Back to this. Dire Frost Keep. We went over this tactic. What about Tempest Island? What about this dungeon's tactics? What's the best tactics to use in here? Well, every group is going to have to find its own tactics to fight that encounter. And some groups' tactics are going to be better than others. And them sharing those tactics with others is what's called playing a meta. That means they're sharing their meta tactic, their most effective tactic available, with other people. They're saying if you use these abilities on this enemy, it's going to kill it fast. Does everyone have access to every ability in the game? Yes and no, but no one character can have access to everything. It's impossible. They can try, but they can't have access to everything because there is no way to make that perfect of a character, or everyone would play one. Everyone would play a hybrid type character because that would be the best thing to play. But because everything can be considered the best play style, because you can make it to be the best it can be, then it is literally the most effective it can be. The tactics you use to face off against enemies are those tactics, the skills and abilities used to win the fight. And how you fight it. Like maybe you position the enemy in a new location and makes the fight easier for your group. So you share that with other people, they use it, they find out it's really easy, but then they find out there's another tactic they can use, an underlying tactic that helps them kill it even better. And better and better. And eventually they're sharing this with everybody, and everybody's using the same tactics. So it doesn't matter what your group dynamic is, because if you have access to all the tools in the game like you do, then there's no reason why you can't do it. Now you guys are probably wondering about these tools I'm talking about. I'm talking about things like Major Defile, Minor Defile, Major Breach, Major Fracture, Minor Breach, Minor Fracture, all that different stuff. There is ways to get access to a lot of those things from a lot of different areas in the game, because they give us a lot of different tools to use. So every person in the game can make the most effective build they possibly can, which makes it the most effective they can. They can utilize all these different skills in the game, including every weapon type if they want to, which makes them more effective and have more effective tactics available. That's how you have a meta. Because it's a matter of utilizing the tools given to you to create the best tactics. Now, a lot of people are going to be like, we already have a meta. And I agree, we do have a meta. It's a really good meta. But the thing is that the meta is a restricted meta. See how I was talking about how everything has restrictions on it? Even the meta's restricted. The meta's restricted because it doesn't allow for anything else to take the place of something else, unless it's something that will make that group dynamic better. Well, that group dynamic right now is at its most effective it can be, because they can't make it any better. They can't make that group dynamic any better. No matter how much they try, they can't make it any better, mathematically or not. And that's because of the game's design. The game is designed not to let them get any better, because it put all these restrictions in place to where they can't be any better. They can try to do better, but the only way they can do better is by improving their rotations. That's it. And even then, that doesn't mean that they're going to all improve, because here's the thing you also have to understand. Not everyone has the skill level to play a rotation as well as some people. Some people have to take their time to learn a rotation. I mean, you're talking about doing something like this. And this is what would be like doing a rotation. Okay? That's using a rotation. It's using a combination of skills and abilities in succession to give you the greatest DPS output. My highest is, with this build, because it's not made for DPS, it's made to tank, and it's made to do play a specific way, can only do about 6k DPS. That's a tank. Okay, no offense, a tank, that would be a tank. But could I make it to where it could do more? Well, yeah. I could change out one of my gear sets for something like Julianus. Like, maybe I'll change out maybe I'll change out Eben for Julianus. So I'll run Julianus in the body, and I'll craft a heavy, medium, chest and legs, and that way I can have the helm, the shoulders, the lowest of the armor pieces in light armor, and the biggest of the armor pieces in heavy armor. This would actually mathematically be the best resistance value. So I would actually get more resistances out of them that way than going a different way. So that would make me better with tanking. Then I could use the Bahar's Curse on the jewelry and stuff. But how much health would I have? I'd get a little bit more magicka, I'd lose a lot of health, so I'd have to adjust my pool. So I would go down in magicka, but I don't need like a super amount of magicka. I just need a resource manageable magicka. And I can still probably manage my magicka with that lower pool. So I do that. Now, I've got the tank with Julianus, which gives me a higher crit capability. I switch out some of my skills to get higher crit, the maximum amount of crit, and to give myself major sorcery. So I can boost all that stuff. I change out all my gear, like I give myself higher spell damage somehow. I do a lot of things to boost my capabilities of doing damage. Is this changing my build or my playstyle? That's changing my playstyle and my build at the same time. Because now I'm changing my build to be more aggressive and less offensive. But could I do that and still keep this structure? Yes. Would I do greater DPS? Yes. How much more? I would probably go from 6k to 12k at max. Maybe 14 if I was lucky. And that would depend on how good of a rotation I could do while tanking. Because you got to remember, a tank doesn't play the same as a DPS. A healer doesn't play the same as a DPS. But this is also not World of Warcraft. This is an action MMO. That means it uses action combat. Because we have an active block. We have to activate block. We have to activate dodge. We have to activate break free. We have to activate abilities. And we have to activate light and heavy attacks. We have to do all this while fighting an enemy. So this is what an action combat MMO looks like. Is you play it more, it's more fast paced, more high pace type of game. You have to be on the ball. So you have to be able to dodge roll, you have to be able to block attacks when you need to, you have to be able to throw up shields when you need to, all that kind of stuff to fight through the group, through the content. Is every group going to have a meta then? Yep. And that's what a meta truly is. The most effective tactic available. Well, that's everything. Because everything has its own most effective, because the math behind the game allows it to have its most effective. Now, I will say this. There will be good builds and there will be bad builds, guys. But learn the game. Learn from other people. Learn how they play. Take their ideas and build on it. Create your own ideas. Find what you like to play and play it. Whether that's a Conan type character in medium armor using an axe and a sword with a two-handed on your back, and then you swap those out, but it's a medium armor character that's a tank. If that's the way you want to play, build it, earn it, play it. Because you can always switch out your weapons. You need a sword and shield for this fight, swap out to sword and shield. You need this weapon or this tool for this fight, swap out to that. See, that's what this game is designed to do. It's designed for you to switch when you need to utilize the tools available to you to give you the most effective tactic available. And that's it for this video, guys. I hope you guys liked it. I hope you guys understood it. And I really hope it did open your eyes to ESO's true design, because ESO's true design is amazing. This is the only MMO out there that truly allows you to play how you want within the game's design. That means you want to be that pilgrim character like this that travels the world to learn lore and knowledge of the world. and to share your knowledge and stuff with others. But if a situation comes up where you're getting beat on and you've got to survive, you have the tools to do it. Understand that's what the game's allowed to do. It's allowing you to not only role play your character within the game, but also to play that character the way you want to. And it's amazing. It's so much fun. So I really hope this opened your guys' eyes and allows you to see more of the game and its aspects, and really helps you to understand that there is more to this game than meets the eye. But that's pretty much it for the video. You guys know what's coming next. If you like this video, hit the like button. If you guys want to see more videos by me, you can subscribe. Other than that, I want to thank you all for watching. Until next time, have a wonderful day. And this guy might see you in game. Bye.